that's a real big thing for me. Public safety should be number one for any administration.
Also, manpower-wise, we've got a growing drug problem. It's not just about protecting one certain group of people in our city, but it's been acknowledged. We've got an opiate problem that it's going to get worse. So we have to have the manpower to make sure that these people are, I can't think of the word, control. We've just got to do better.
I just want to follow up on that because Ward 3 City Council candidate Tracy Hoskins recently proposed that we put police officers in every Fayetteville public school resource officers and expanding that program. First, I guess several questions around that. Would you support that? And what impact would that have on the budget? How are school resource officers paid for? What impact would that and your tactical vehicles and the police department expansion? It's going to fund it. How does all that get paid for?
I'll respond. It gets funded by more than likely refinancing our bonds. We have some $94 million worth of current bonds. It's about half of our bonding capacity. We have to look at refinancing those. Of course, I'm not involved in that day to day, but I'll be looking into it once the citizens hopefully elect me come the 8th day of November. And I'm for anything that improves the safety of our families and our citizens here in Fayetteville. I think we have plenty of money. I think this administration is drunk on the taxpayers' money, okay? So $126 million a year is plenty of money to put a resource officer at every school. And I would, my hat's off to Tracy for thinking that's an important issue and bringing it up.
Did the schools want that?
I don't know, you'll have to call the new superintendent and ask him. I think it would be a good thing. They have several at Fayetteville High. I know they already have them at Rainey Junior High where my kids were. I supported them. I support Chief Tabor. I think it's a great idea for those resources to be in every public facility within our community.
They do have that several schools already, and I know they're not going to turn it down. It's a very good question. You'll email me, I'll do further research on it and we'll figure this out.
This is going to be for you, Mr. Mayor. Could you comment on the role of Chief of Staff for the City of Fayetteville, specifically on non-monitoring?
Yes, sir, I will. Thanks for asking that. 7.5 years we've been paying $250,000 to administrate our city. $250,000. Taxpayers of Fayetteville never signed up for a Chief of Staff. That was a position created by Mr. Jordan. Mr. Marr is running the city of Fayetteville. He's getting paid $121,000 a year, and Lionel Jordan is the chief ribbon cutter for $119,000 a year. So there will be no Chief of Staff in my administration. All department heads should report to the elected official. And I don't know where they lost their way or what boondoggle they're on, but nobody ever signed up to delegate all the responsibilities to a third-party person where all the department heads have to report to him. I think it's shameful. Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Mr. Walker, you can have 1 minute rebuttal.
I fully agree. The only thing I've got to add to that is that we've all got to be held accountable for every single one of them, from the mayor's position all the way down. We got to justify the use of taxpayer funds. Totally.
This is for both of you. Thanks for coming. When it comes to, like, you both have said some things about the regional park. I think it's really important for citizens to be involved in the planning process and attend meetings for that. Have you attended any public meetings for planning of the regional park or any other facilities that you have voiced issues with?
Can I answer that question?
Sure, please do.
Okay. No, sir. I'll be honest with you, I haven't. I've been very busy for the past 10 years trying to take care of my mom. She's a great meal. I've kept up all of our city government. And of course, I've talked to numerous people for so many years about planning. And as far as the openness of our government, they say that all these people respond. They don't. A lot of these people in these neighborhoods never even get anything. A lot of them don't have the internet. We don't get any questionnaires. In Ward 1, we have not seen either one of our representatives the past 4 years.
Pertaining to our regional park, I love park systems. I've been here 46 years, and we have a place on Bull Shoals. I grew up on Beaver Lake. I love the trail system. I went down the 27th day of November of last year to Kessler Park and witnessed, we had a 5-inch rain in 3 days. And I witnessed one of the largest erosion control issues I've ever witnessed in 30 years of construction. I immediately went out to ADEQ, which is the state agency in Farmington, and lodged my complaint. They went on the record, documented all of it, wrote the city up with multiple citations for their negligence. And then recently, went down to Kessler after it was done on a weekday and drove through the park. And the first question was to me, where did we spend $14 million? Because we have inadequate infrastructure, no curbs and gutters, an erosion control problem currently, one way in and out. The thing that I take issue with most of all, we paid a firm in Georgia $1 million of the taxpayers' money to design that park. And it has inadequate access, inadequate facilities, and the youth that are playing on those soccer fields, a lot of my kids' friends, the fields are too small for the age groups of the kids that are down there, okay? And like Ron alluded to earlier, I don't know what's gonna happen if some kid breaks a leg, an emergency, issue. How do you get, EMS in there when you have only one way in and one way out? And it's just disappointing. I was invited to the groundbreaking of the George Park up on Don Tyson Boulevard. Yeah.
Didn't answer my question, sir.
What's the question?
Did you attend any of the public planning sessions for the park?
Yes, I watched them on Channel 216, all of them. No, I wasn't personally involved
Okay,
in the
thank you.
planning process because I thought it was negligent on behalf of our folks doing that, not to hire local firms to do the work.
Thank you.
The water tables were not properly checked beforehand. There were still events that were taking place over at Lewis Field. They were canceled 3 different times down there. Also, they're wanting to host, huge regional events down there. We've already got a problem. We've lost some of the hotels and motels here. How can we have enough facilities to even lodge all of us? We have a big national event.
During the city council meetings on both civil rights ordinances, one that was repealed and one that was passed by voters, dozens of our neighbors spoke out about personally experiencing discrimination and violence and needing protection from discrimination. You said that discrimination has never been a problem here. Mr. Terminelli, specifically, you paid a substantial amount of money to defeat, especially 5781, I believe it was about $3,300. Given the opportunity, would you want to repeal these protections, and why?
No, I believe that city government has no place in these issues. We have a state and federal law, and that's exactly what I'm all about, is allowing the state and federal law to take its
Actually,
course.
Arkansas does not have comprehensive civil rights laws.
Well,
that include this
didn't they pass something after we attempted to pass it?
No, Arkansas.
There's no federal law either.
We're one of 2 states without a civil rights commission.
No, the city broke the state law, which specifically forbade them from exceeding the current state law,
Actually,
which
I
they
had
did.
one bill of 2000.
There's been no ruling on that.
Yeah, it's in front of the state court, because they were spending more money. Well, you guys were interrupting anyway, so I thought I'd chime in.
Okay, we have had some clarifications for the candidate, and now let's have time for the input given this new information.
I got no change. I don't think it's the city's place to be administrating.
So you don't think it's the city's place to
I do
protect all of
not.
its
One person
citizens?
at a time. First.
I don't think there should be special classes and special laws, period.
Okay, so to clarify, you were saying that you.
I don't think there should be special classes or special laws, period.
Okay, but 1 minute for those, Mr. Walker.
I was not aware of anyone being bullied. I'm sorry, I did not know that. No, it's already in discrimination. But like I said earlier, we all have the rights that we should be able to be safe. So like I said, I agree. I think it's one of the civil rights issue there that a lot of taxpayers' dollars were wasted. I've had so many, that's one of the main things that people are talking about. Further misuse of taxpayers' dollars, and they have a special procedure to overrule things.
Yes, okay.
I'm a small business owner here in Fayetteville. My family started our business in 1973. We've survived 2 big recessions. We employ over 20 people. We have a great, diverse, long-standing workforce, people who have been with us for decades. Recently, there was a Chamber of Commerce held a debate. You both decided that you didn't need to show up. Mr. Terminella, you put out a statement to the press that basically said, why would I talk to those people? I believe those were the words. I'm a small business owner. We do over $1 million a year. It grows. I'm one of those people. I don't think you were aiming that comment towards small business owners because you seem to have a business-friendly approach. I'd like to know who are those people, and do you recognize that if you're elected mayor, that those people will be called your constituents, and at that point, will you be willing to listen to them?
This is what I'm willing to comment on the chamber. The chamber received $360,000 4 weeks ago for an economic development contract, a consulting contract from our city. Mayor Jordan's administration has given $1.4 million to the chamber. The chamber has no business holding forums for wards or mayors or anything else. The chamber has the responsibility to champion small business and try to allow things to thrive for the business community in which it serves. I saw no benefit going down to the chamber, which was a prearranged deal by Lionel Jordan and his administration. And to be honest with you, I have since rescinded my memberships to the chamber because I don't think there's proper leadership there. I've been out pioneering and championing a project for years on the interstate. How many times has Steve Clark or any member of the chamber reached out to me for commerce? The answer, sir, is 0. I'm all about small business. I'm all about the chamber doing what it needs to do to promote business, but they have no business being in the political circles and holding forums and debates. I just don't feel that they're the forum for it.
Probably get a remote.
Yeah, I felt per se that we weren't talking about the members of the chamber of commerce, we were talking about the leaders.
The leadership.
Leadership, exactly. And like I said, they have yet to account for all that money. We both found that in the budget. But they say they meet their goals. Well, how are they meeting that economic development? That's all I'm doing.
Can I have a follow-up?
Yes.
How does not addressing the people, though, how does not addressing the chamber or the people with those concerns, how does that give us confidence in you guys? And you know, those people were a full packed room of business owners, of citizens. Those people were the news, which is going out to everybody watching the news. So how does that give us confidence in you when there's an empty chair there with your name on it?
Well, here again.
And again, and just let me say this again because I don't feel it was addressed and I guess you're saying those people were the chamber, but us people, whether you agree with people or not, they're going to be your constituents. And if you don't speak to your constituents, how are we supposed to have that trust for us to give you our vote?
Sir, go ahead.
Okay. I fully appreciate your passion, okay? But I know myself, I'm limited on the time I can campaign, all right? And we've reached out, Mr. Jordan, incarcerated, Channel 5 News has wanted to do 30-minute deal on all of us, okay? He won't commit to it. He obviously had problems about committing to this tonight.
Where is Mayor Jordan? Where is he?
We can answer that.
I can answer that, actually.
We have lots of answers to that question. Go ahead, Beth.
He was notified of this debate last week. His schedule is full. Early voting was in full swing. He asked the original host committee of the debate, the high school students, whether they could possibly reschedule, got no response. Yesterday, those high school students agreed to have someone in his stead, and today they rescinded that. He had commitments for tonight. It was well known from the time the invitation was extended.
Let's let them finish responding to
It's not that he didn't want to talk to us people.
Okay, the one thing, this was being sponsored by a young group of folks at the high school, okay? And we wanted to get them involved. We want to show them and tell them that we know they're our future leaders, okay? I'm sorry. Mr. Jordan can take time like he did last week to go down to the Maxine staff room and campaign. He should have been right here tonight, talking to all those high school students that wanted to come here, but obviously they were pressured not to come here and bullied, and that is wrong.
Can you explain what you just said?
Pressure not to come here. What does that mean?
Let's focus on the original question. If you would like
Yeah, I
to
would
restate
actually
it,
like
go
an
ahead.
answer to my question, so.
If you would like to restate your follow-up question, you can be allowed to.
Yeah,
do that.
just let him answer the original question.
Restate your question.
Well, how do we trust you with our vote if you don't speak to us? And if you're gonna call us those people, how do we know you're gonna represent us when we're called your constituents?
Here again, I think you're confused. Those people were geared towards the leadership of the chamber, okay?
There was a packed room and there were news cameras, so those people were the people of Northwest Arkansas and people of Fayetteville.
Hey, here again, I'm not here to, you know.
I'm asking you to
be
answer the
respectful.
question.
I've had the same cell number for 31 years. I typically stay up to 10 or 11 o'clock at night returning every single phone call. So that's how I respond to my constituents. That's how I respond to my customers, okay? That's how I respond to my clients, and that's how I'll respond as mayor. I'm not gonna delegate it to a third-party chief of staff. When I call the mayor's office and get a return call from Don Marr, that's unacceptable. We didn't elect Don Marr to run the city, we elected Mayor Jordan. And how about the last 12 days of him pandering for money and votes in the county courthouse parking lot? What a disgrace, what a joke. Give me a break.
Not pandering for anything.
Let's ask for raise hands questions. I saw you earlier.
All right, so I'm a college student here at the university, and obviously at the national level, state level, and local level, we've seen just a lot of negativity and hostility in campaigns. I think we can all agree to that. And as a college student, I get a lot of my news from social media. So I saw one comment on social media that's kind of just made me distraught, and someone was calling for everyone to show up and show Tom a less than friendly crowd. When I drive around, I see signs that are being, vandalized, and just generally on social media, a lot of hostility. And I just want to ask both of you, is that a signal that we need a change of leadership here in Fayetteville, a positive change of leadership away from this negativity?
It's obvious to me that we need a change, I'm gonna be respectful to everybody, try to be patient, but, there's no room for intimidation, there's no room for property right destruction, there's no room for any of it, people ought to be able to live in peace, and if they have differences, they ought to be able to work them out independently, okay? And, I've never seen anything. We had 30 signs in one night destroyed. We've had my wife's car damaged. Our windows on our building spray painted. Okay, the biggest regret that I have is putting my bigger family through this issue. I'm running for mayor. My 20+ nieces and nephews are. My brothers and sisters and sister-in-laws aren't, okay? As long as people are respectful, I'm okay with it. But when they get outside those boundaries, there's no room for it. Not in my world. And, you know, I just think those people have issues, and they need to work through them.
All right, so you're saying that this negativity that we're seeing around Fayetteville, that you want to turn that around and make it.
I want to unite Fayetteville. There needs to be one Fayetteville, okay? This stuff about division and what's been created the last couple of years is nonsense. I've been here my whole life. I went to Ramey, I went to high school. I am Fayetteville. I'm just as Fayetteville as anybody in this room.
Make sure we allow those kids a chance to.
Sorry, Ron, go ahead. I yield.
You know, as a Christian people, we need to lift each other up, okay? Have no room for negativity, no room for vandalism, taking advantage of others. It's, like Tom said, we have to work as a whole community. It's gotta stop. You know, whoever you elect, we've all got to work together.
Just as a reminder to the audience, as we're asking questions on issues and different substances, let's make sure it's not a leading question and it's left open to the candidates.
Can both of you explain what your plans are for infrastructure improvements in our city?
You want me to go, Ron? I think I've stated the number one priority for me is the proper law enforcement facilities. Talked to the chief, I know a lot of the officers. I feel like we're vulnerable there. I think another asset that we need to work on as far as bricks and mortar is our Parks and Rec facility that's kind of the front door of our city. You know, ball, tennis, soccer, baseball, softball. I think another important issue is our water distribution system. My house sits on the west side of town. I'm on a 60-year-old line that breaks quarterly. Somehow we don't have enough money for new water lines, but we have enough money to go build a $14 million park down in Greenland. You know, I think the infrastructure is a real issue here in Fayetteville. And I think the neglect by the last two administrations is really starting to show. So I guess prioritizing police, Parks and Rec, and then our municipal water distribution system. I think those are three really important items.
Thank you, Dalton, your response?
I concur, like I said, we have to have the proper facility for our police. And we also have to have, if we generate enough revenue, we don't have to put a tax burden, any more tax burdens on our people. So then we can take care of all of that infrastructure, especially with water and sewer lines. Those 50, 60, 70-year-old clay, whatever you call those things, that are deteriorating all over the city underneath these roads. A lot of people don't even realize that. We've experienced it for several years. So again, I really agree. Police and safety first, then we take care of our infrastructure. Potholes, the whole thing.
See, I know there's some of y'all who've been raising your hands for a while. We will get to you. I've seen him for a really long time, but I'll make my way there.
My question is for both of you. Yeah, I'm one of the small business owners that built in Fayetteville, and the city did everything possible to stop me from opening my business, including over $300,000 worth of parking places and thousands of dollars in engineering fees, only to, after a few months later, to throw that ordinance to the side. And, you know, too bad for you. As mayor, what will each one of you do to stop the foolish and unnecessary regulation over trying to start a small business? I'm a small business with a family business, and that was a great burden on us.
Well, I've heard that over and over and over again, starting with our hilltop preservation, to our tree preservation, to our engineered footing and foundations. You know, there's a whole host of things, from going to parking standards to no parking standards. The Unified Development Code in the last 4 years has gotten to the point where most folks can't operate in this environment. Most of the folks in the home building industry that I'm aware of have all kind of gravitated north of here because of For instance, our new drainage manual that they adopted in 2014 and just started implementing here over the last year or so, it's 700 pages long. You have to be a civil engineer even to understand what it was. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through all the codes, and anything that seems burdensome or over the top or creating roadblocks for business, whether it's small business or industry, we're gonna look at it and we're gonna amend it, and we're gonna try to craft it to where it helps the, whether they're small business or big enterprise.
We have to have a complete assessment. I fully agree with your comments, sir. I've seen it happen way too much. I mean, basically, it's all gotta be streamlined. We've gotta get rid of these so-called professional politicians. We've gotta get back to the people that know and are suffering for business owners.
I haven't witnessed it personally, but they tell me, the building community, that it takes 16 minutes to get a permit in Bentonville, Arkansas for a home, and it takes 6 weeks here in Fayetteville. You know, you tell me what's wrong with that.
Another person stepped out. Any other questions?
I'm very concerned about a comment you made a little bit ago about the high school students being intimidated and bullied to not be here. And I would like you to expand on that so I can understand that.
Well, it was brought to my attention late tonight, and I met the young lady's mother outside, and she was intimidated by someone in that administration, or some representative. She was bullied, 17-year-old girl. That's wrong. I wouldn't let my family members be intimidated. I wouldn't let your family members be intimidated, man. That is wrong. Whichever grown man or woman or group that did that, it's just.
It's my understanding that Stephen Smith called this lady's 17-year-old daughter the administration this afternoon